Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, but you can call me Pajama Grandma, my cozy cover-up stuff. Today is day 343, I believe, of our What You Up To Now. Just journaling and keeping kind of an ongoing diatribe or discussion about what I'm doing, what I'm working on as I transition from the brick and mortar offline world of real businesses and corporations into the online world of business. And it is a transition, it is a process. And it's taken me a long time to figure out the process of what works and what doesn't work. And, you know, shame on me, but it's just like anything else. It's a learning curve. We don't stop or prevent a child from learning to walk it when they're starting to walk. They fall down, they struggle, they have challenges. But pretty soon they get their balance, they get their equilibrium. And before we know it, they're running all over the house from place to place because we've let them go through the process. And this is my process. This is the process that I have needed to go through to get the results that I want. Now, the process is, there's a core basic framework of process that works for everyone, but how we actually apply and get to that framework and get to that process is different for each of us. And we all have our own journey with that. We all have our own path. And some days it's super frustrating and we want to quit. And other days things just kind of fall into place like clockwork. I am learning that as part of this Women's Summit, and there's a couple big lessons that I'm learning. I'll probably compile when you're doing a summit, here's the biggest pitfalls or the lessons learned. And one of them is the whole scheduling of the interviews and getting them done and rescheduling and adjusting and being flexible. And I'm pretty flexible, so that works for me and works in my favor. But some people aren't. Some people are super regimented, and it's going to be a challenge for them. So one of the most important things you need to do is be friendly and flexible and kind and not have a problem with changing schedules and changing interview times and dates, especially if you're trying to do something like this over a holiday or over a really busy time of year, or when there's other events going on in the universe or in the world, or the world of whatever business you happen to be in. I specifically wanted to launch this in January, so it's my choice to do it over the holiday and make it a little bit more difficult to schedule and do. But that's okay. I chose it. So I would never complain about it. I've just observed that and I expected it, that it's going to be a lot of back and forth. And that's why I didn't just put up a scheduler or a calendar. Now I might for future summits, but what I like to do is I actually like to get the person that I'm interviewing's information back so I can take a peek at it before I interview them, so that I have some clue about what I'm interviewing them about. I know some of the women that I'm interviewing really, really well. I've known them for like 9 or 10 years, and others I've just met. I haven't even met. I just did one the other day where I hadn't even met the lady. She's from Australia, and I had never met her. I just met her online. And so the first time I got to interact with her was on this interview. I mean, we'd gone back and forth with some communications, written communications, but I'd never actually met or seen her, which is why I prefer to do all of my interviews as videos, video interactions, because I want to see the person I'm talking to or asking questions of. I know half the time I look like an idiot just sitting there, not saying anything. I just ask a question and then I sit and I listen. And I'm sure people are like, okay, well, Sharon's got like this stone face. She doesn't do anything for half an hour while this person answers a question. And that's okay, because it's not about me. It's about getting the information that can help you out of the person that I'm interviewing. So working on that. I'm actually doing some planning for 2019. I know since I left corporate America, I really haven't been a huge planner or a huge budgeter or a huge frameworker. I always just look at the big end goal of where I want to go, and then I move toward that step by step every day. But I haven't actually, until this year, sat down and said, okay, and part of why I'm doing it is because of the women's summits. I want to map out for the women's summits who, what, where, when, why, and how everything has to happen. And for this first one, I'm putting systems in place, which is another learning thing. The first one will always be the hardest. The first time you do something, it'll always be the hardest and the biggest challenge, because you're going to hit all the obstacles of the things that you don't even know that you don't know, right? But as you figure them out, and as I figure them out, I put systems in place to deal with it the next time. So for example, the scheduling back and forth to do the interviews, as I get busier and busier, it's going to be harder for me to pull out my time to do the summits going forward. Right now, I've purposefully opened up my calendar and made it super flexible. And in addition to that, because I knew it was the holidays and I need to be super flexible. But as I get busier and busier, I know that my schedule is going to get more and more full, and I won't be able to be as flexible as I'm being with respect to when I can actually do the physical interviews. So I will add a calendar scheduling app to the process, and it will be done in the back end automatically. And then I'll just get the notice and I'll show up for the interview. And people can actually pick the time that works best for them. But as I do that, moving forward, I'm rescheduling and doing that a lot for this particular summit. But the summits going forward, I won't be able to do that. If you set up an interview time and you miss your interview time, you might not be in the summit, because that's just how it goes. As we get busier and busier and there's more and more demands on our time, we have to be a little bit more selfish with our time. And so it'll become, this one I'm super flexible with, but going forward, it'll be, if you want to be a part of this summit, then you have to be serious about being a part of the summit. And if all I need is half an hour to an hour of your time set aside that you can commit to talking and answering questions for the summit, if that's the biggest thing that you have to do and you can't do that, we're going to have a problem, because I only want people that set good examples for other people. And one thing is doing what you say you're going to do and committing to something. And once you commit to it, hey, I got this. I can do this. I can make this happen. I super appreciate the ones who have actually taken time out of and made it happen over this holiday period, because it just makes it so much easier to just knock them out. And it doesn't take that much time. It's actually really the most fun part of the whole summit is actually doing the interviews. Or at least to me, that is the most fun part of the whole summit, is getting on the Facebook Live, or I guess I'm doing Zoom. So getting on Zoom and doing the Zoom call with these amazing women. That's the most fun part of the whole summit. So listening to the summit should be the most fun part of the summit for people that are participating in the summit, except for the speakers. But even for speakers, the best part of the summit should be just talking about what it is that you do and love to do, and sharing your knowledge and expertise with other people. That should be the best part of the summit for them. And then, you got to get me your asset. You got to give me your picture. I need a picture of you. It shouldn't be hard to get me a picture of you. It shouldn't be hard to get me a link to your freebie thing, because that'll be easy too. And then the hardest part for the speakers is answering the speaker questionnaire and then answering the interview questions, so that I can turn that into a book. And so I can turn that into a physical something that everybody can use to, number one, promote their business, but also to add more value to the people that are participating and listening to the summit. So this whole summit thing, very educational. It's kind of like when I first started doing challenges. I've been doing challenges for, oh my God, lots of years, like probably 10 years. And now it's like this big thing for people to do challenges. So I'm like, well, why didn't I ever teach people how to do challenges? I probably should have. But I think I'm going to do a little differently with the summit. I am sharing, and if you watch my videos, if you watch these, you're seeing exactly what I'm doing for the summit and how I'm doing it. And I haven't really gotten into the nuts and bolts of it yet, as far as building the promotional materials and building the actual funnel, or how we'll deliver the summit online. But I will get into that, and I will share all of that here. So I'll actually probably do some Facebook Lives on exactly how I do that and set that up, because I think those are really valuable. I don't think people realize how valuable those things are, but I think I've learned the most from sitting and watching and going through step-by-step and pausing videos of the technical things that people do, because then I don't have to figure it all out and learn it all myself. I can just go step by step by step and stop and start and stop and start and get done exactly what they're doing, because they show me step by step. That is some really valuable information. So if you guys see those things and they work and they get the result you want, that would be something to pay attention to. So planning this year. What are you doing? We only have a couple days left of the year. Saturday, New Year's Day is Tuesday, so we only have a couple days left. Are you looking back at what worked out really well last year? What am I grateful for? What was awesome? And then what can I learn from? What did I learn that I won't do in the future? What did I learn that was a stepping stone for where I want to go next? Are you paying attention to those things? I usually spend like the last 4 or 5 days of the year, not just the last day of the year, thinking about and going over these things as I'm planning and setting things in motion for next year. That's it. Go out, make it a fantastic day. I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye.